Hi, good night. Cafeteria Labyrinth with Mona Indefatigable Heights as usual. And we are here to discuss a number of things. Oh my God. So there are so many things happening right now. And we're here to discuss them all. Yes, I got a new hairdo. This hairdo. I got my jailhouse due tonight, guys. I had to switch it up a little bit. Like, you already know, gal must shine. Gal skin for shine. Gal for shine up on beard things. Yeah, beard things. Gal for shine. Body for shine. Gal body for shine. Shine bright like a diamond. Anyway, so, just to give you a little check-in. Yes, I am rejuvenating myself. Relax, recoup, rejuvenate, rebirth, regeneration, you name it. Right, that's what she, excuse me. So my Dottie done gave me a little jailhouse due, and this is my first time. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, this is my first time first time wearing this hairstyle ever in my life. Number one. Number two, this is my first time showing my face. And I would never do a video like and show my face, because I got this forehead that then I take the weave and I hide it, right? So I use my weave to have my forehead at all times because I'm subconscious about my forehead, right? And these bags under my eyes and everything. So I'm always trying to hide my face. That's what I do. But a part of my blog is taking you on my spiritual journey, taking you on my journey overall. And a part of my journey is, Mari, don't come right here with that. I'm making my video. Part of my journey is my emotions, what I'm experiencing, and what I'm going through at this time. So I decided that I wanted to be completely naked. Well, not completely. Excuse me. Oof. Oh my God, I'm sorry about that. Not completely naked because I have clothes on, but like my face, myself, my soul is somewhat bare. And I'm gonna give it to you. All right. So this is a part of date. This is a part of my unveiling and my steps at courage and strengthening my reserve and my resolve and being resilient enough to do things that I've never done before. I wouldn't even know what to wear with a outfit, a hairstyle like this, because I never rocked this, and not when Alicia Keys, nobody, because like I said, I've always worn weave ever since I came into America. When I first came into America, my cousin, like my first week, I met my cousin baby mother. Her name was Angela. She passed away, I think earlier this year. Yeah, but we weren't friends anymore, however, but just to say.
What is the front letter? What is the front letter? What is sleep? Sleep. Sleep. No, it's sleep.
Sleep. Sleep. What's that letter? E.
E.
E. Pa. Pa. Sleep. Pa. 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 What's that letter?
P.
All right, so it's sleep. S. L. E. E. P. Pa. Pa. That's sleep. Okay?
Okay.
All right, I'm making my video. All right, so when I first came, the first week I came, Mari, don't make no noise. I'm making my video, not now. And I don't know if my aunt took me over to my aunt's house, and I was there, and my cousin, his baby mother, yes, she did. She was a hairdresser, bad hairdresser, baddest hairdresser I met in my life, Angela. And she used to do my hair, and she grabbed me and she put like three ponytails in my head. This was like 1995. One here, one here, one here. But I had migraines, and I wore that ponytail for like half an hour, and them pins and all of that everything had to come up and out of my damn head. All right. However, I came like with a jerry curl, and they was like, or I had perm my hair because they was saying that people was teasing people about jerry curls because jerry curls wasn't wearing no more, and how American people tease people about stuff, and she did a weave on me, and I just been wearing weave ever since 1995. I wore braids one time in high school, and I didn't really like it, and I had some braids in last year, like the dread braids, but I want to embrace my natural self and my Afrocentricism, and this is a part of it. So let's see what other styles I could come up with if I'm comfortable with, myself. Like what they do, alright? Alright, and y'all can let me know what you think, like, about this hairstyle, because I've been wearing this weave ever since I started the blog and everything. It's been weave, 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 and I mean braids are weave, but I'm just saying, like, nothing like this, nothing that shows my real face. So let me know what you think about the hairdo, guys. Let me know if you think that I should stick to weave and I should cover up this big forehead, or what they do. All right, so today's show, Cafeteria Lavish with Mona Indefatigable Heights. I have a lot of things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Delia Johnson. This is a young lady. They was taken out by her friend. They arrested the woman last week, thereabouts, for second-degree murder. And I wanted to talk about the Turpin Horror story just a little bit. Excuse me, the House of Horrors. I was drinking orange juice that like gives me indigestion. All right, the House of Horrors. I wanted to talk about BBLs and Sarah Baartman just for a little bit. I wanted to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell because her case started yesterday. I wanted to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac. Episode 4 of the reunion. I want to talk about Saweetie and Lil Baby, Blue Girls Club with Christian Rock and Blueface, Ari Lennox, and Portia's Family Matters. So let me see what I can cover and how we do these. All right. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was the Delia Johnson and Claudia Banton. So the Delia Johnson, the police arrested Claudia Banton not recently for second-degree murder. She went up to this woman, Delia Johnson. She was driving a white BMW SUV. She pulled up on the side, and the woman was there standing on the front of the apartment buildings, just holding on to like the pole, the pole of the building or the rail or whatever, and talking to some people. And she just walks up with the gun behind her, and she calmly walks up and she just uses it, pulled her lights out, got back in her car, and drove away. So the police actually held her, but they let her go moments after because they thought they were looking for a man. It was caught on camera. There were multiple shots. She ran for 3 months in Florida. She hid out in Florida for 3 months. She pled not guilty when she was held. She did 7 years in a Georgia prison for forgery and other felonies in Georgia and New Jersey. Allegedly, what the streets are saying is that there was a funeral on that day that she got rid of Delia. That's Claudia. And they're saying that it was Claudia's boyfriend or baby father's funeral because he had been robbed, and Claudia found out that it was Delia, allegedly, that set him up to be robbed, and he was killed at the robbery, and her child, apparently, allegedly, was shot and was in critical condition. And so as a result of that, she went and She must have got news that it was Delia who had something to do with it, and she just went and took Delia out. So that's all I've been able to gather so far. I haven't really been able to gather very much more information other than date. Um, I have been looking on the T and on Facebook and everywhere. They're saying the woman herself, Delia, that she wasn't innocent, and that she had like, I wouldn't know if they said she's a con artist or what, something of that nature, but she have like suspect behavior as well, and they are saying that she set this woman up. That's the only thing that I'm seeing on the social media. I'm not seeing anything else. Um, excuse me. Excuse me. I'm not seeing anything else. I'm not seeing anything that indicates you know, there was anything else. Like there's an argument, there's problems, there's beef, there's anything with anybody other than this, what we're seeing. So it's making me like thinking that there may be some truth to it. Police haven't said anything. They said that she had not spoken since they had held on to her, other than she pled not guilty. And they don't have a motive. They don't have anything as yet. So this is just a word on the street, guys. So I just wanted to go ahead and give you that little bit of information with those breaking news and to let you know what's going on. And this is a woman, Delia Johnson. She's from Brooklyn, New York. You know, I'm living in Brooklyn currently. So yeah, that was local tea, and I wanted to share it with you. Um, the House of Horrors update, which was the Turpin Horror House. Um, this is the the mom and the dad live with 13 kids. There were 13 siblings. Two of the 13 sat down in a first interview with Diane Sawyer, and that was Jordan and Jennifer Turpin. Um, they talked about how they were abused prior to being found. So Jordan is the one. She called the police, right? She ran away from the house. She called the police. She let them know that they had been um, abused. She told the police that they were chained, and there were kids chained currently while she was making a call. That they were repeatedly thrown across the room, that they like to throw them across the room. They like to pull their hair. The parents did. Um, so I wanted to give you a little bit of information about those people because it is trending and it was part of the Diane Sawyer interview. So the Turpins were raised as devout members of the same Pentecostal church in West Virginia. All right. The father had mood swings. They had a lot of mold and dirt and trash, and they went to live in Fort Worth, Texas. Jennifer, she was the second child, or the first or second child. She went to the third grade, up to the third grade. After the third grade, she never went back to school. They lived in Rio Vista, Texas at the time when she went to the third grade. She said that her parents were Bible thumping people and that they usually spoke out from Deuteronomy. In 2007, there were 10, they moved 10 of the kids. They had 13, but they moved 10 of the kids into a trailer deep behind the house, and they took the youngest two and returned once a week. So they left those 10 in 10 in a trailer deep behind the house to live, and they would return once a week. If they would come with groceries. The kids were very starved, and they ate like ketchup or mustard just to survive. So the 10 kids were surviving in that home, in the cabin in the woods, for like large periods of time, while the parents had the youngest kids possibly living in the house. In 2010, they moved to California, and they were to move to Oklahoma the next day when Jordan ran away. So they had moved around a lot. They were not going to school. None of the kids were going to school. They had been abused, and they knew that they were moving again. Jordan was afraid. She was tired. She didn't want to be caged, and they didn't want to be abused anymore. And so she ran away. She got out. She got to a phone. She called the police, and she told the police, and they raided the Turpin house. They took the kids, and they put them in foster care, and they arrested the parents. And the parents, I believe that I think their trial went already. So I'm gonna give you an update of that. I don't have that phone, so I don't have that, and I don't have my, wait, hold on. I like to Let me see if this. All right, so let me just figure this part out. If it's not dead. So they said that their evil parents quoted the Bible to justify their abuse and even claimed that they had the right to kill them if they wanted to. Let's see here. They were jailed up to life after pleading guilty to torture and years of abuse. They were held in January 2018 and they pleaded guilty to abuse and imprisoning their children in the Paris home. They were arrested after the Jordan called police to say her 12 brothers and sisters were being held captive. She was so emaciated that they thought she was 10 years old at first. She was 17 years old. And she told the police that some of the kids were being bound by chains and padlocks at the time. When they arrived at the property, they found children shackled to their beds in dark and foul-smelling surroundings. There was feces on the walls and things of that nature. They used to take the kids on trips. I'm not sure what happened. Probably just went crazy having all those kids. They were big fans of Disneyland and went on holidays to the theme park. Some residents said they saw the kids picking up rubbish around their home and digging for food in bins. Neighbors said they really saw the children, with one claiming to have been unaware that there were any living at the house. Somebody said they didn't know kids were living in the house. Excuse me. The parents appeared in court on January 18, 2018 and initially pleaded not guilty to multiple counts of torture, child abuse, dependent adult abuse, and false imprisonment. The father also pleaded not guilty to performing a lewd act on a child under age 14. The children were tied to beds with ropes and then hog-tied. While they were deprived of food, the parents ate well and tormented the kids by leaving apple and pumpkin pies on the kitchen counter but not letting them have any. The oldest child at the time was 29 years old. I think her name is Jennifer. She weighed only 82 pounds, and the 12-year-old was the weight of a 7-year-old. All the kids' names begin with the letter J. The father was charged with perjury over his claim he was running a private school for his 13 kids. In February 2019, they pleaded guilty to torture and years of abuse. They admitted to 14 counts that included cruelty toward all but their toddler daughter and imprisoning the children in a house festering with filth and reeking of human waste. The guilty pleas were important to spare the children from testifying, though they were allowed to speak at the sentencing if they chose. In April 2019, a judge sentenced the pair to 25 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 22 years. So they were actually arrested. They were sentenced in April 2019. They are put away for life in prison. However, the kids did their first interview with Diane Sawyer this past weekend. So that was something to talk about and something we wanted to discuss. Just to let you know a little bit about them. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is that I was doing some reading recently and I saw something about Sarah Baartman. And I don't know how many of my audience are aware of who Sarah Baartman is. Sarah Baartman was what they called they called her the Hootentot Venus. She was a Cherokee woman who had very large buttocks. She was marketed as a missing link between man and beast. She was put on display by Hendrik Caesars and brought to let me just give it to you the right way. Okay, Sarah Baartman was brought to Europe on seemingly false pretenses. She was. This is Sarah Baartman, just so you can have an idea. Um. Uh, I don't know if you've seen it before. This is her. You can look her up. Sarah Baartman. Okay. Now, she died after years spent in European freak shows. They wanted to make a film about her because she's important to Hollywood. She died on December 29, 1815, but her exhibition continued. Her brain, skeleton, and sexual organs remained on display in the Paris Museum until 1974. Her remains weren't repatriated and buried until 2002. She was brought to Europe seemingly on false pretenses by a British doctor staged named the Hootentot Venus. She was paraded around freak shows in London and Paris with crowds invited to look at her large buttocks. Today, she is seen by many as the epitome of colonial exploitation and racism, of the ridicule and commodification of black people. Reports of Beyonce planning to write and star in a film about Baartman have been denied by the singer's representatives, but the rumors were enough to generate concern. Jean Burgess, a chief from the Cocoa group that Baartman was from, argued that Beyonce lacked the basic human dignity to be worthy of writing Sarah's story, let alone playing the part. But Jack Devnerin, chairman of the South African Guild of Actors, said filmmakers had the right to tell the stories of people you find fascinating, and that's what we must be careful not to object to. Even in denying any link to a film, Beyonce's representative says this is an important story that should be told. This is BBC.com news magazine. Papa! This is BBC.com's news magazine. It talks about her life, and I just want to talk about it for a little bit. Her life was one of huge hardship. It's thought she was born in South Africa's Eastern Cape in 1789. Her mother died when she was 2, and her father, a cattle driver, died when she was an adolescent. She entered domestic service in Cape Town after a Dutch colonist murdered her partner, with whom she had a baby who died. In October 1810, although illiterate, she allegedly signed a contract with... I'm Ari! She allegedly signed a contract... I'm Ari! She allegedly signed a contract with English ship surgeon William Dunlop and mixed-race entrepreneur Hendrik Caesars, in whose household she worked, saying she would travel to England to take part in shows. The reason was that she had what was called steatophagia, resulting in extremely protuberant buttocks due to a buildup of fat. These made her a cause of fascination when she was exhibited at a venue in London's Piccadilly Circus after her arrival. You have to remember that at the time it was highly fashionable and desirable for women to have large bottoms, so a lot of people envied what she had naturally. Hold on. I'm Ari! I'm Ari! I'm Ari! I'm Ari! Come here, come here! You're sitting there screaming, I'm making my video. No, I'm making my video.
Why? But you're towards the sun.
Yeah, but you still making mad noise. Can you imagine? Excuse me, the damn orange juice, him and everything else, and the gold. Oh, God. All right. These made her a cause of fascination when she was exhibited. You have to remember that it's a... So a lot of people envied what she had naturally without having to accentuate her figure. Says Rachel Holmes, who is the author of The Hootentot Venus, The Life and Death of Saweetie Baartman. On stage, she wore skin-tight, flesh-colored clothing as well as beads and feathers and smoked a pipe. Wealthy customers could pay for private demonstrations in their homes with their guests allowed to touch her. Her arrival in England coincided with speculation over whether Lord Grenville and his coalition of Whigs, known as the Broadbottoms, because of Grenville's own large behind, would try to seize government. This was a gift for cartoonists. One creation entitled A Pair of Broadbottoms shows Grenville and Baartman standing back to back with another figure measuring their respective posterior sizes. And they have a cartoon. Oh God. So Baartman's promoters nicknamed her the Hootentot Venus, with Hottentot now seen as derogatory. Then it was used in Dutch to describe the Khoikhoi and San, who together makes up the people known as the Khoisan. The British Empire had abolished the slave trade in 1807, but not slavery itself. Jera! 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 No, you gotta get Imari. No! Jera! The British Empire had abolished the slave trade in 1807, but not slavery itself. Even so, campaigners were appalled at Baartman's treatment in London. Her employers were prosecuted for holding Baartman against her will, but not convicted, with Baartman herself testifying in their favor. The question still remains, was she coerced, as the abolitionist humanitarian campaigners claimed, or was she acting on her own free will? If she was coerced, she might have felt too intimidated to tell the truth in court. We'll never know. The case is complex, and the relationship between Baartman and her handlers was certainly not equally weighted. Even if she had some element of choice or might have felt too intimidated to tell the truth in court, we'll never know. Even if she had some element of choice. Okay, I'm making my video and he is screaming and screaming and screaming.
I know.
Yeah, you gotta stop.
You don't stop.
Yeah, no, you gotta stop, please. Whatever it is, you gotta take it from him because I'm not playing. Even if she had some element of choice or felt she could gain something, material or otherwise, from her performance. Her show also included dancing and playing several musical instruments, and that a sophisticated audience in London, a city in which ethnic minorities weren't rare even at the time, would not simply have stopped and looked at her for long on account of her race. After her case, her show gradually lost its novelty and popularity among audiences in the capital, and she went on tour around Britain and Ireland. In 1814, she moved to Paris with Caesars. She became a celebrity once more, drinking at the Café de Paris and attending society parties. Caesars returned to South Africa, and Baartman came under the influence of an animal exhibitor with the stage name Rio. She drank and smoked heavily, and according to Holmes, was probably prostituted by him. Baartman agreed to be studied and painted by a group of scientists and artists, but refused to appear fully naked before them, arguing that this was beneath her dignity and she had never done this in one of her shows. This period was the beginning of the study of what became known as racial science, said Holmes. Baartman died aged 26. The cause was described as inflammatory and eruptive disease. It's been since suggested this was a result of pneumonia, syphilis, or alcoholism. The naturalist George Cuvier, who had danced with Baartman at one of Rio's parties, made a plaster cast of her body before dissecting it. He preserved her skeleton and pickled her brain and genitals, placing them in jars displayed at Paris' Museum of Maine. They remained on public display until 1974, something Holmes describes as grotesque. The domination of Africans was explained with the aid of science, thereby establishing the cohesion, or derogatory term they used was the Hottentots, as the most ignoble group in the progression of mankind purported to mate with the orangutan. Alright? After his election in 1994 as president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela requested the repatriation of Baartman's remains in Cuvier's plaster cast. The French government eventually agreed, and this happened in March 2002. In August of that year, her remains were buried in Hanke in Eastern Cape Province, 192 years after Baartman had left for Europe. Alright? Several books have been published about her treatment and cultural significance. There was a 2010 film Black Venus and a 1998 documentary The Life and Times of Sarah Baartman. Those have covered her story. All right. Now, I also wanted to talk about just briefly. Sarah Baartman, is allegedly the first known black female victim of trafficking. Sarah Baartman was lured to Europe with the promises of fame and riches. Um, she was transported to England in 1810 and exhibited on a stage in a cage as a freak show known as the Hootentot Venus, and a court battle waged by abolitionists to free her from her exhibitors failed. In 1814, she was taken to France and became the object of scientific and medical research that formed the bedrock of European sick ideas about black female sexuality. After her death, her brain, skeleton, and sexual organs remained on display in a Paris museum until 1974 and were not repatriated as stated before and buried until 2002. In 1814, she moved to Paris with César, and 18 months later, she was dead. All right? He exhibited her around Paris and reaped financial benefits from the public's fascination with her body. He began exhibiting her in a cage alongside a baby rhinoceros. Her trainer would order her to sit or stand in a similar way that circus animals are ordered. At times, Baartman was displayed almost completely naked, wearing little more than a tan loincloth, and she was only allowed that due to her insistence that she cover what was culturally sacred. It is believed that she drank and smoked heavily to cope with her humiliating ordeal. All right. Now, I wanted to talk about Sarah Baartman, and my reason for bringing her up is because I wanted to talk about Sarah Baartman and the BBLs. Um, Sarah was marketed as missing link between men and beasts. At the time, she actually influenced the woman who used to wear bustles at the time, which is a padded undergarment in the mid to late 19th century, where they wore this thing to make their buttocks look bigger. She was studied because she had an elongated labia, which is what they call the hot. This is the part about the Hottentot, I guess. Um, Georges Cuvier, he did dance with her, but he stated she had ape-like traits. Her ears were small like an orangutan, and her vivacity had the quickness of a monkey. I think that the Sarah Baartman phenomena is what started the BBL phase. The studying of Sarah Baartman, the enlarged buttocks, that was her shape, what everyone is trying to aspire to right now, the agenda. Um, it's like you're not a real woman if you don't have that shape, and that shape wasn't natural to all women. It was a specific tribe, and she was enslaved and carried all around the world in order to show her off like an animal due to that shape, right? Excuse me. When you enter the industry and they say, you have to do your booty, or if you have to get your booty done, you're being turned into Sarah Baartman. All right? You are being turned into somebody who was trafficked due to the shape that she received, the shape that she had. So it's like every female that I see that goes into the entertainment industry, they're Sarah Baartmanized. And they go into this the surgery, they get their buttock done, and then it becomes like the highlight of their life, and it's become an agenda that every woman, most black women, are now wanting to aspire to. It's nothing wrong with wanting to aspire to your blackness, right? Your natural look, your natural self, right? But that is not our natural self. That is the shape of one tribe of people. And for everyone to think that this is the standard or the look to aspire to is an agenda. An agenda is brought about for a reason. It is for the curiosity and the pseudo-eroticism and the sexual stereotypes that have been placed upon black women. It's what's being played out in this BBL phase, stage, fad, or whatever is occurring. Um, I just wanted to bring it to you because you can do your own research about Sarah Baartman just to see that most of our entertainers today, our female entertainers that you see, the Saweetie and the Dojas and the Cardis and the Nickies and all of them, that are moving into the limelight and the fame of whatever it is that has them to be showcased or put on a spotlight. They're not caged. They're not being told to stand and sit in our eyes as Sarah was, but they are being placed upon the spotlight. They're being placed on the stage to perform for us, to have the look like Sarah, and for us to look at them the way that the people used to look at Sarah Baartman, you know, in that century and that era. And that agenda has, it's for a reason. And so now body dysmorphia is the biggest thing that we see. It's not enough just to like follow a phase or a fad. You have to know why you're doing something. I could understand people who feel like, you know, I have a flat butt, but I don't have a booty at all. Um, am I tempted to get my booty done, like a fat transfer or anything like that? I like to see it. I don't want to go through the process that would take me there. And I don't want to go through any type of pain or negative consequences that may occur if I do go there. And so, yeah, no. That's just the type of person that I am. I don't want to go through that. And that's where I'm at. Um, do I feel abnormal at times? Yes. Most of my friends in the Jamaican dancehall scene that I'm from, they are people who have gotten their bodies done, and you know they look real good and they have their bodies done, and then here comes me, like with my natural body, like my flat, you know, flat booty and all that. um I just have to learn to be myself. This is who I am, you know what I mean? I have to accept myself just like how they accept their self. And if they change whatever they change of their self, once they change whatever they get, they have to accept it. It's just the same thing. It's just I'm just accepting this that I already have. I don't want to deal with nothing else. I don't want no pain. I don't want no risk. I don't want no complications. I just I can't. I do not want it, and so therefore that's where I am. But I just wanted to give you some knowledge and some information about Sarah Baartman, guys, so we can have an idea of where the agenda comes from and the reason why it is. It is a way of showcasing you like an animal, like placing you in a spotlight, a cage. That shape was um identified with people who were the missing link between men and beasts, um, for having, you know, buttocks like that and so on and so forth. So yeah, we can say we're being proactive or pro black or pro whatever it is by acknowledging it and accepting the shape. But if you weren't born with that shape, to go and take it onto yourself for no reason, that's not pro black. That's kind of like you have to know why you're doing that. Excuse me. As a female, I am definitely, definitely. Um, I am definitely always like liking the bodies that I see. Like my friends that have done their bodies, I'm obsessed. Like, okay, yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, I like that, but like, you know, she looked good or whatever. I just I live in fear, so I can't. You know, I wouldn't be able to. But that I'm not downplaying or speaking against or speaking out against BBLs. I'm just telling you where the agenda comes from so that you can have an idea and you can understand that it is not something that you have to do. Like one of the main things that I have to accept in coming to earth is not having regrets. Like that's my spiritual lesson. Like not to do something and regret it after. And it took me 40 years to 42 years, 41 years to know and understand it. So now when somebody comes to me or something is offered to me or whatever it is, I have to know that No, I cannot take advantage of that because I do not want to regret it. No, I cannot do you that favor because I don't want to regret it. No, I don't want to go to this place because I don't want to regret it. No, I don't want to. I'm not doing it because I don't want to regret it. And living my life in that way has made life much easier for me in the last couple of months because I'm literally like by myself, working myself out, figuring out where things are supposed to be, and so on and so forth. And that's what's making me happy. I'm literally just who's-sighing right now, okay? Um, where I was today is November 30th, and where I was on October 31st was in a dark place, in a dark space, and it's taken me a month to get to this space where I am actually feeling like I could sleep at night, like I can cut my mind off from the things that are bothering me. Like I feel a little bit better. I received findings from the DOE, the closing letter after they've done my investigation. Like there are certain things that are starting to look up and look different, and I'm feeling it and feeling the energy. And you know, Christmas is always a time. December is a season for me that I'm always happy. So I have to find my happiness now. I have to find my peace and I have to find my zen, and I cannot allow anybody to take that from me. And that's something that I have to know for myself. So that's it for Sarah Baartman and the BBL agenda. All right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was I did want to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell for a little bit. Ghislaine's trial started yesterday. Hold on. Alright, so nope. Okay. Let me tell you what's going on with the updates for Ghislaine's trial. Um, all right, so the first Maxwell and Epstein accuser took the stand Tuesday, said she received a multi-million-dollar payment from a victim fund set up by the financier's estate. The accuser is identified as Jane. She agreed to dismiss a civil suit in 2020 that she brought against Maxwell and Epstein because she received a multi-million-dollar payment from a victim fund set up by the financier's estate. She said she ultimately received more than $2 million from the fund and added she has no financial stake in the outcome of Maxwell's criminal trial. The first accuser to take the stand, Jane, described how Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein abused her over a number of years, starting in 1994 when she was 14 years old. In one instance, she said Maxwell and Epstein brought her up a staircase into Epstein's bedroom at his Palm Beach mansion and started undressing. She said they moved this when she was 14 years old. She said they moved me over to the bed and took their clothes off, and they started to sort of like fondle each other. Jane said, adding that they casually giggled about it. They asked me to take off my top, and then there were hands everywhere, she said. Jane says she first met Ghislaine and Epstein when she was at Camp Interlochen in Michigan in the summer of 1994 between 7th and 8th grade. And so the TE word on the street is that Epstein reportedly had secret lair at the famed Michigan Art School. They didn't just allegedly troll the streets of London, Arizona, and New York and Florida for their victims. The dastardly duo allegedly had a secret lair on the Michigan grounds of Interlochen Center for the Arts, the famed fine arts boarding school for children. According to one alleged victim. In exchange for donations and hosting fundraisers at his New York mansion, the school allowed Epstein to build the Jeffrey Epstein Scholarship Lodge, now available to rent as the Green Lake Lodge. According to the Daily Beast, one alleged victim who is suing the pedophile's estate for $22 million alleges she was recruited at the school in 1994 while a 13-year-old music student and was abused over a period of 4 years by Epstein and Maxwell, and that Maxwell regularly facilitated the abuse and was frequently present. The school, which cut ties with Epstein in 2007 after his child sex conviction, told the paper it cut contact with him, but Epstein was permitted to use the lodge for up to 2 weeks per year under a funding agreement. It added it has no record of any other use by him beyond 1 week in August 2000. A previous statement said, "We have no record of any complaint raised against Mr. Epstein at Interlaken." The school added that policies would not have permitted Mr. Epstein any unsupervised access to students. Okay, all right. However, another Interlaken pupil, Melissa Solomon, alleges she met Epstein and Maxwell there when she was 14 and spent 6 years in their world but was not abused. She claims they fell out when she refused to recruit girls for Epstein from Juilliard School in New York and refused a meeting with their pal, Prince Andrew. Okay. All right. Who was most frequently in the room when you had sexual contact with Jeffrey Epstein when you were 14 years old? The prosecutor asked Jane. She said Ghislaine Maxwell. Jeffrey Epstein's former pilot, Lawrence Paul Visosky Jr., is back on the stand following the court's lunch break for cross-examination. He was employed by Epstein for nearly 30 years, testified he never had any inkling that his boss or Maxwell were allegedly abusing young girls because he would have quit his job. All right, so Maxwell's defense attorney asked about gifts the sex fiend bestowed upon his longtime employee. Mr. Visosky received a number of pricey gifts throughout his employment, including 40 acres of land on the pedophile's New Mexico ranch for him to build a house. The financier even paid for Visosky's 2 daughters' private high school education, the pilot testified. Yes, he believed in higher education, Visosky said. Epstein also listed a number of fancy sports in Visosky's name, including a Land Rover, a Mercedes, and a Jaguar, he said. The pilot said the cars were Epstein's, but he and other staff were allowed to drive them near his Palm Beach, Florida mansion. Okay, there were people name dropped in testimony. Former President Bill Clinton was among the high-profile men brought up today during cross-examination of Jeffrey Epstein's longtime pilot. The pilot testified that he would have been told in advance if a guest like Clinton was going to be flying on Epstein's jet. There might be special catering. Defense attorney asked about Clinton, who has been photographed with Maxwell aboard the Lolita Express. Sure, Visosky replied. When asked if remembered a victim in the case identified as Jane riding on the plane, the pilot said, "I can't visualize her sitting in the passenger compartment like I would, say, President Clinton," because the man is not going to remember that, right? How's he going to know Jane? The defense attorney Jeffrey Pagaluka made an argument regarding the removal of a juror due to holiday travel plans that would disrupt the trial schedule. The pilot said, "I never saw any sexual activity." No. He did not notice any underage girls without their parents on the planes. He flew Roberts in the mid to late 90s, but believed her to be a shorter woman with dirty blonde hair. He added that he believed an Epstein associate named Jane that he met on one of the planes was a mature woman with some piercing powder blue eyes. Okay, so Ghislaine's sister was there. Visosky was asked about the layout of Little St. James, nicknamed Pedophile Island by the locals. He then testified about the Boeing 727 he used to shuttle the financier and his guests between 2000 and 2004, calling it a recreational vehicle. The jet was tracked to a long-term storage facility in Georgia in August 2020. She raised her eyebrows to her sister, who was there. Her sister was in court yesterday and today. For day one, prosecutors charged that Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were partners in crime, and she was an essential part of his scheme to prey on underage girls. Defense attorneys revealed their strategy, painting Maxwell as a scapegoat, being persecuted because of the government's failure to bring Epstein to trial. All right. All right. That's basically it. Her lawyer calls her a convenient stand-in for Epstein during her opening statement. Visosky is the prosecution's first witness. They said he was, in many regards, he was like a 21st century James Bond. His mystery has stirred interest as accusers of shaking the money tree and millions of dollars have fallen their way. And the prosecutor, Lara Pomerantz, warned jurors about the graphic, unsettling nature of the case. She said, I know this is hard to hear, but these are the facts of the case, and this is what happened to these children. So opening statements were given. They talk about the witnesses that they would want. Ghislaine hugged her lawyer in greeting. And that was basically it. In addition to that, I did want to talk about James Staley, which was James. Hold on. James Staley, the Barclays Bank CEO, steps down after the Jeffrey Epstein inquiry on November 1st. More than 2 years after Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in a Manhattan jail cell, the consequences of associating with the convicted sex offender continue to reverberate throughout the highest echelons of the business world. Barclays, one of Britain's biggest banks, announced on Monday, November 1st, that its chief executive, James E. Staley, was stepping down immediately as a result of an inquiry by regulators there into how he characterized his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Barclays said in a statement that Mr. Staley has also agreed to give up his position on the board, but noted that the investigation did not make any findings that he saw or was aware of or any of Mr. Epstein's alleged crimes. The bank, which stood behind Mr. Staley during the nearly 2-year inquiry, said it was disappointed with the outcome. He had run Barclays with real commitment and skill, and the bank said and noted that he intended to contest the findings. In an internal memorandum to employees, he said he did not want bank employees to be distracted by his personal response to an investigation that was his second run-in with regulators since taking over in 2015. In 2016, he tried to unmask a whistleblower who had criticized one of his senior hires, prompting a $15 million fine for the bank from New York's banking regulator and a personal fine of about $1.5 million from British regulators. A lawyer declined to comment on Monday. He will be succeeded by Mr. Venkatrishkanan. Mr. Staley was one of the many powerful businessmen to allegedly associate with Mr. Epstein, a convicted sex offender who killed himself in 2019 after facing new allegations of trafficking underage girls. Those prominent... Stay right there. What is it?
Just not go where we watch the laptop because it need to just be terminated.
Okay, yeah, because you're screaming and stuff, and I'm doing my video, so tell her to let you watch the TV, but you can't be screaming. So those prominent associates included Bill Gates. Close my door. Thank you. Have her turn on the TV for you. Close the door, please. Thank you. Those prominent associates included Bill Gates, the Microsoft co-founder and one of the world's richest men, Leslie H. Wexner, the founder of the company that once owned Victoria's Secret, and Leon D. Black, founder of the private equity firm Apollo Global Management. The personal and professional reputations of all three billionaires have been scarred by their relationships with Mr. Epstein. Mr. Gates' ex-wife, Melinda Gates, voiced concerns about the ties between the two men in the years before she filed for divorce in May. Mr. Wexner, who was one of Mr. Epstein's early clients and a source of much of his wealth, stepped down from L Brands in May after months of questions over his close ties to Mr. Epstein. And Mr. Black stepped down as chief executive and chairman of Apollo in March, a few months after an inquiry from its board found that he paid $158 million to Mr. Epstein for tax and financial planning advice in the years after Mr. Epstein's 2008 guilty plea to a prostitution charge involving a teenage girl. All three men denied having knowledge of Mr. Epstein's misconduct. British regulators were looking into how Mr. Staley described his relationship with Mr. Epstein, which dated to Mr. Staley's tenure as the head of private banking at J.P. Morgan Chase, and how Barclays described it to regulators. Barclays said it learned of the preliminary conclusions of that inquiry by the Financial Conduct Authority. Yeah, let Jared turn it on for you. Jared, turn on the TV for him. And the prudential regulation. Close my door, Papa. Close my door. Tell her to turn the TV on for you. Jera! Turn on the TV in the living room for him. The regulators declined to provide any it's a whole mess today, right? Wait. I'm trying to continue my show like, oh yeah, you know, nothing's happening. No, Papa's trying to take over. And he's screaming and shouting this whole time I've been doing my video, and he's been screaming and shouting, and I'm not happy about it, as you know. So I don't want to hear nothing that he has to say, come and complain to me, crying, talking about Tajiri, and let him use the laptop, and he can't use his tablet. Sir, let her turn the TV on for you way out there that I don't got to hear you when you're screaming. That's it. I'm not allowing nobody to like shift my mood. I'm Zen Mona. It's not Zen when it's Zen Mona. All right. So that's about it. You know, these people, they've been maintaining a relationship with Mr. Epstein after his 2008 plea, a turning point that had led many others to cut ties. The men were close enough that Mr. Staley visited Mr. Epstein after his conviction meeting at the Palm Beach office where Epstein was allowed to work during his 13-month sentence, right? They met with him in 2011. Staley, former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers, Mr. Epstein, Bill Gates, Boris Nikolic, who was the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation science advisor. It's a bunch of them. Like, this is the 2011 picture. So, of the men still hanging out with Jeff. So, of course, nobody's happy about it. Right? So that's it about Staley. So that's something else. So Mr. Staley had to step down in regards to the inquiries into his lying about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and being friends with him after 2008 when everybody else cut ties because he pled guilty to the prostitution charge with a teenager, allegedly. And when it was found out that Epstein actually helped his career and that's why he got to where he got and where he is, why he is, and why he have what he have, he stepped down. The next person to have the fallout from this Epstein investigation is the British police dropped the investigation into Prince Andrew. So the UK authorities dropped that in October. And surprisingly, the Prince Andrew accusations have been left out of the Epstein Maxwell case. All right. So when Jeffrey Epstein's longtime companion Ghislaine goes on trial, the accuser who captivated the public most with claims she was trafficked to Britain's Prince Andrew and other prominent men won't be part of the case. The U.S. prosecutors chose not to bring charges in connection with Virginia Giuffre, who says Epstein and Maxwell flew her around the world when she was 17 and 18. She isn't expected to be called as a witness in Maxwell's trial either. Prosecutors will focus instead on 4 other women who say they were recruited by Maxwell as teenagers to be abused by Epstein. None has alleged the type of abuse by powerful international figures that Jeffrey has detailed in interviews and court filings. Bypassing Giuffre's allegations about Andrew will keep the most explosive allegations against Maxwell out of the trial, but it will also allow prosecutors to avoid a big risk. Records, witnesses, and photos back up many parts of Giuffre's account of her time with Epstein, the financier who died by suicide in 2019 while jailed ahead of his own sex trafficking trial. But Giuffre has acknowledged getting key details wrong in her story over the years, including initially falsely saying in a lawsuit that she had been 15 when Epstein began to abuse her. The men she's accused have spent years attacking her credibility. Maxwell's lawyers might have tried to have some of them testify. Besides Andrew, Guthrie has said she was sexually trafficked to former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, former U.S. Senator George Mitchell, the noted lawyer Alan Dershowitz, the French modeling scout Jean-Luc Brunel, and the billionaire Glenn Dubin, among others. All have said her accounts are fabricated. David Weinstein, a former federal prosecutor who is not involved in the case, said making Guthrie part of the Maxwell case could have complicated matters unnecessarily. There's no reason to give the defense anything to work with that can sow the seeds of reasonable doubt. Guthries' lawyers declined an interview request, but she has stood by her allegations and repeatedly shown a willingness to go into civil court to prove them, sitting in depositions and assembling a legal team that includes one of America's most influential lawyers, David Boies. In a 2019 interview with Dateline NBC, she said inconsistencies in her story were the innocent mistakes of trying to recall events that happened years ago when she was a traumatized teenager. When you're abused, you know your abuser. I might not have my dates right, I might not have my times right, but I know their faces and I know what they've done to me. The Epstein scandal burst into public view in 2005 when he was arrested in Florida and accused of paying a 14-year-old girl for sex. Police identified underage girls who were paid to perform sex acts, but in 2008 the investigation was cut short. Prosecutors allowed Epstein to plead guilty to a charge of procuring a person under 18 for prostitution. He served 13 months in jail. Dozens of women sued Epstein, but Guthrie's 2009 lawsuit was different. In it, she said Epstein pressured her into having sex with numerous men, including royalty, politicians, academicians, businessmen, and or professional and personal acquaintances. Jeffrey didn't initially identify the men involved, but in 2011, she took $160,000 from the Daily Mail for an interview in which she described meeting Prince Andrew during a trip to London with Epstein in 2001. Jeffrey provided the newspaper with a photo of herself and Andrew together in Maxwell's London townhouse, his arm around her bare midriff. The British tabloid said Guthrie and Andrew danced together at a nightclub, but added there was no suggestion that there was any sexual contact between Virginia and Andrew, or that Andrew knew that Epstein paid her to have sex with his friends. Years later, Guthrie's lawyer insisted she told the Daily Mail she had sex with Andrew, but the paper's lawyers wouldn't let it publish the claim. She also said in a deposition that some details in the Daily Mail stories based on her paid interviews were inaccurate, including parts in which she described riding in a helicopter with Bill Clinton and flirting with Donald Trump. Those things hadn't happened, she said, though she blamed those errors on the reporter. There's no question that Guthrie was swept up in Epstein's world. Witnesses, including the pilot who flew Epstein's plane and household staff, have said in depositions that they saw her regularly with Maxwell and Epstein. Records show she got her passport in early 2001 for travel to London and handwritten flight logs listed Virginia or Virginia Roberts, her unmarried name, as flying regularly on Epstein's jets. In May of 2001, she was photographed attending Naomi Campbell's birthday party with Epstein in Saint-Tropez, France. In 2014, she joined a new lawsuit by Epstein victims and began identifying men she'd previously accused anonymously. In it, she also claimed publicly for the first time she'd had sex with Andrew 3 times in London during her 2001 trip, at Epstein's New York mansion when she was 17, and in the Virgin Islands when she was 18. She said Maxwell facilitated the encounters as a madame. Her account of spending time with Andrew in New York was backed up in part by Johanna Schoberg, another Epstein accuser. In a deposition and an interview, she described an evening socializing with Jeffrey, Maxwell, Epstein, and Andrew, in which the prince put his hand on her breast while they posed for a photo with a puppet made of him for a TV show. The AP does not typically identify people who say they're victims of sexual assault unless they decide to tell their stories publicly, as Jeffrey and Joberg have done. U.S. authorities have expressed interest in Guthrie's allegations. In 2011, FBI agents flew to Australia, where she was living, to interview her about their alleged abuse. U.S. prosecutors have repeatedly asked Andrew if he would submit to questioning. Weeks before Maxwell's arrest last year, the then U.S. Attorney for Manhattan, Jeffrey Baartman, issued a blasting statement for Andrew, seeking to falsely portray himself to the public as eager and willing to cooperate. He has promised cooperation but never made himself available to U.S. authorities. All right. In her initial lawsuit, Guthrie wrongly said she was 15 when Maxwell first spotted her working as a spa attendant at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago club and hired her as Epstein's masseuse. In a memoir she explored selling to publishers, she described in detail celebrating her 16th birthday at Epstein's island estate in the Virgin Islands. But employment records later showed she hadn't worked at Mar-a-Lago until the summer she turned 17. She said she simply misremembered. One of the men Guthrie accused, Dershowitz, is battling her in court, calling her a sworn liar. That litigation is ongoing. Richardson and Mitchell have said they've never met her. Dubin says he has flight records and other evidence proving her allegations against him are false. Andrew, the third child of Queen Elizabeth II, has also repeatedly denied Guthrie's allegations, most notably in a 2019 interview with BBC Newsnight, in which he said that while he socialized with Epstein, he couldn't recall ever meeting her and never had sex with her. I can absolutely categorically tell you it never happened, he said. He challenged her claim that he was sweating profusely as they danced in a nightclub, saying he had a medical condition that made it impossible for him to sweat. Maxwell has acknowledged knowing Guthrie, but has said her stories about being sexually trafficked to multiple men are lies. Angel was sued by Guthrie this year, saying her encounters with him amounted to sexual assault. The case is pending, meaning it is possible she will get her claims against the prince before a judge, yet even if prosecutors are staying away for now. And that's my little update on the Ghislaine Maxwell Jeffrey Epstein tea. Because we have to know what's going on, what's the backstory, and we're not just going to jump into, oh, you know, her trial starts today. We want to remind you exactly what has happened and what went on with these people. And so that's it for Ghislaine Maxwell. All right, so I wanted to talk about Ari Lennox. Ari Lennox had a great performance at the Soul Train Awards over the weekend. However, she was held for disturbance at an Amsterdam airport. And she was held for disturbance at an Amsterdam airport. She said they were racial profiling her. They said she was drunk and had aggressive behavior, and that she was making threats to the airline employees. She accused Amsterdam security of hating black people. And so that was a little bit of tea on her right now. So after such a wonderful performance, I'm not sure exactly what happened. Ari Lennox says that she was racially profiled before she was detained at an airport in Amsterdam on Monday. She was detained for disturbing public order, according to the Royal Netherlands Marechaussee, a national police force in the Netherlands. Police said she had a conflict with an airline staff member and a security officer, but did not elaborate. They claimed that she was drunk and would not calm down. Investigators were questioning Lenox over possible threats made to the staff and security. They did not share the alleged threats. They said they would speak to the public prosecutor's office regarding possible next steps. She tweeted about the incident Monday and claimed she was racially profiled. She said, "Fuck Amsterdam security. They hate black people. I just want to go home. I'll never leave my house again. I'm being arrested in Amsterdam for reacting to a woman racially profiling me," she added. She's best known for her album Shea Butter Baby, which debuted in 2019. That same year, she received a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album for her role on the Dreamville compilation album Revenge of the Dreamers 3. Representatives for Lenox did not immediately respond to CBS's new request for comment. So I don't know what her status is right now, but I think she's being held and questioned. They haven't released her as yet, as far as I can see. So that's it for Ari. Ari girl, like, hurry up and come on home, because I don't know what's going on with you. Yeah. I don't see anything to say that she was released as yet. So she was being detained. And that's it for Ari Lennox. Okay, so Mama, Papa, brother, sister, everybody, I wanted to talk about Saweetie and what's his name? Use my little child. What's his name? The one I like, Lil Baby. I'm gonna turn up on these haters, savages. Sometimes I just be loving ice. I don't know why. It ain't even juice like the ice. sorry, y'all. I done talked for 1 hour. I deserve to have a drink. A juice. I should have a drink. I haven't had a drink in months. Oh. Yes, y'all. That was good. Mm. Child, let's get deep, deep, deep into it now. My love, it was the guy, Lil Baby and the girl Saweetie, right? So you know we was talking about Saweetie the other day. She don't put that much into her performance, but she do put a lot into looking good and to the dancing and the formation and all what she do, right? So next thing I look, it came out in the media like over the weekend. Excuse me, big time. They said a rapper spent $100,000 on Saweetie, right? That's how it came out first. Then they was like, Lil Baby spent $100,000 on, took her on $100,000 shopping spree, right? They say he dropped $100,000 on her in Chanel at the Chanel store. You know she said she'd twerk for that icy chain. I'll twerk for that icy chain. Yeah, girl, I'll twerk for that 1K Chanel shopping spree. Come on now. So they were spotted together on a shopping spree in New York. All right. They said that he dropped $100K on her, right, in the Chanel store, and they said sources confirmed the date and claimed security footage caught the two at the Chanel store. She was in New York performing on Saturday Night Live. Over the weekend, Saweetie and Lil Baby were in New Jersey performing at Powerhouse. None of them spoke publicly about the situation. All right. Now, the thing about it is, all right, so the internet was broken when Saweetie put up a damn picture with her sitting on somebody's leg, or she sat on the person's leg, or all you seen was their shoes and their little feet, or so next thing you know, the internet damn found Lil Baby's damn post. He's standing up in the shop, the store. His damn shoes, his damn feet, his outfit, his head, and everything, his whole body was in the picture. But then when you look at the picture, it's his damn shoes and his damn pants that she's sitting on. So everybody was like, So Jada Waiter, his baby mama, she liked the post. I think it was on the Shade Room or something. And they say, oh, you know, Lil Baby dropped the bag. Saweetie, she done announced the man already, or she wanted something to be known, so she announced the man and who it was that she was booed up with. And Jada Waiter liked the post. And then Quavo, he put up a post saying it ain't nothing, you know, we could swap it out or whatever. Allegedly, saying now I don't know how he come into it. I'm a little bit confused because this woman and this man done broke up months ago with the elevator affair. And I don't know what he talking about swapping it out. Like, bruh, like where you going, bruh? You is the past, the long gone past. Why you putting your 2 cents in it, Quavo? You don't have nothing to do with this. The woman vagina, move on. What the hell is wrong with you? I could understand Jada Waiter giving us, you know, a reaction. But what is you talking about swapping it out? You're not even getting this no more. Your time up, sir. You're too fast. You're fast in people business. You're too enough. Have a seat. Like, where you going? You want to talk about swapping it out. Like, you want style, sweetie. Oh, you for style, sweetie. Sweetie done made a little come up, but not when it's somebody else man, but if the woman is able to understand, then I don't have a problem with it. She don't have a problem with it. He don't have a problem with it. It sounds like a threesome, so I don't know,
Stay with me. You stay with
I'm doing my video, Papito. What's going on? What you watching? Papa? Papa? So, he want me to come stay with him. He probably watching something scary. What you watching?
I'm watching Poppy playtime and the guy is not here, and then I'm scared, so I have to watch another one, and I can't work it, and I can't move controller because it can't work.
Tajera! Jera! Jera! Come here, booby. Yeah, so he need help to change the thing. Yeah, so all of this and all of that and all of this and all of that, right? So Papa, come close my door.
Mommy, that was it. The dog just scared me, and the girl just scared me in the TV, and I was not scared.
You're not scared?
Yeah, they're staying in the house.
Oh, tell her to change it still. Yeah, change it. I think it's a little scary because you sounded scared. See? Chabu. Anyway, so here we go. I was like, okay, what are they doing, right? So, Saweetie and Lil Baby, so they put it on the shade room. Quavo talking about, you know, we could swap it out or whatever. Like, yeah, I already know how they handle these chicks in the industry. They just pass them around and pass them around and pass them around. So Quavo is alluding to the passing around of Saweetie. I don't know who else she been passed around to, but it made it look like she was low and low budget and trying to bring her down. I didn't really like that because you ain't got nothing to do with her no more. You have been embarrassing Saweetie enough. You have like, shut up. Anyway, Jada liked the pose. I don't know if she's saying she down for it or what she's saying or whatever. Anyway, so I guess Lil Baby wasn't checking for none of that. None of that. So he went on his social media and he was like, if you looking for clout, just call Lil Baby. Because he's saying Saweetie was using him for clout. But at the end of the day, how was she going to know the internet was going to pick up on all day? Like, at the end of the day, when y'all was doing, this was planned and staged. It just looked like it. Because, sis, if you put up a whole video with you sitting on somebody's leg, their whole shoe, their whole outfit is apparent, and then they go and put up a picture of themselves in the same outfit, the same shoes and everything, why would you not think that this will occur? Like, that, they have me, I got questions. The world has questions. You know what I'm saying? Me and the world have questions about that, because I'm just like, why? Hold on, my phone is dying. Yeah, I have questions. The world has questions. Like, why would that even be? Like, why is you... So he said if you're looking for clout, call Baby or, you know, use Baby or something. And then he was like, bitches, like, really be looking for, like, really doing weird shit. He was like, bitches really be weird. Like, I don't know. I don't know if he's talking about Saweetie. I mean, he might. I don't know if he's talking about Saweetie. Because you know how these... sorry. You know how these industry relationships are. They put them together.
I guess the hair is this done.
Close the door. You know how they do these industry relationships, like, the PR put them together, the managers, the labels, whatever, decided they decide what relationships work, what relationships go, what relationships are best for your publicity, for your relationship, for your career, for your image. So maybe they were being put together like the Baby and Dana Lee when they did the Levi collab, which eventually they started knocking boots for real, and then eventually they caught some kind of feelings and a baby came, but she literally knew that Mimi was his girlfriend and that's who he really with. She know that she was his TV girlfriend and not his real life girlfriend. That's why he say you is a side chick. You know your position. This is business. This is not real. Just like Saweetie and Lil Baby. So, but Lil Baby don't know that Saweetie handlers probably told her like anything. All publicity is good publicity. It doesn't matter if we looking at Saweetie as a home wrecker or we looking at her as whatever anybody's looking at her as. Her name is trending. She's trending. Ding 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 ding. That's all they want to know. We trending. That's it. That's the most important thing is to trend. Right? All right. So with that, gotta go with Saweetie and Lil Baby. Because I like Lil Baby real bad, I do. But I don't even understand, like, he look like he a hood nigga for real. And he look like he be giving Jada trouble. I don't know what relationship, if they have an open relationship or they have an open relationship when it comes to his career, like, and the things that he got to do for his career or what is really going on. But I have questions and the world has questions. So let me know down below what you think about Saweetie and Lil Baby. Do you think that they have a relationship going on? Like, do you think that he just bought her for the weekend and he let her know that, you know, how, you know, some celebrities get together. Some people get together and not boost for the money. She'll twerk for the icy chain. She already told you what she will do in her music. She said, I twerk for the icy chain. So if she needs to twerk for the icy chain, we don't got to know about it. So maybe it was supposed to be a quick move, a quick jump off, a quick bust down. And it just became, you know, public fodder and, you know, news for entertainment and the blogs. I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. If you like what you see and like what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment. I love feedback and I answer all comments. Yes, I do. All right, so that's it for Saweetie and this man right here. I wanted to talk about. I got a couple more things I want to talk about now. I should make another. I'm gonna stop here. Oh, thank you for watching. I have to do part 2 of my video because this video has been long and I don't want it to be too long. So I'm gonna do part 2 of my video. Thank you for watching Coffee Tea or Lavish with Mona Indefatigable Heights. As always, Coffee Tea or Lavish with sip coffee with drink tea and with lavish ball people. Shopping spare for me. I'm a money tree, 7 key kalata 4+3. I'm coming out like a starlight, busting out in the night. No contest, me no fight, but claim it by right. And Jahi gave me insight. Yeah, my pre-celebrity life. I went pre-celebrity life. I went to bring the team, bring it spiritualized. So you'll know I'm gonna look through the veil and use my eyes. Yeah, you were right. That's a she. All right, thank you so much. You have a great night. I love you. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for watching with me. Coffee Tea or Lavish. As always, it's Mona Indefatigable Heights. Good night.